Yeah, sure. Here, we'll start because I have an intro as well. We're out here in the Windy City, ladies and gentlemen. The beautiful Windy City. It's actually a beautiful sunny day in the city of Chicago, and I will be hanging out with the mayor of this beautiful city, Brandon Johnson, in a brief moment. I have an introduction prepared and I have some questions prepared ahead of time. Shout out to Eric Hovagim for helping me out with this. Brandon Johnson, DSA, 57th mayor of Chicago since 2023. Brandon Johnson's a former organizer for Chicago Teachers Union, a social studies teacher. Unfortunately, Brandon Johnson's approval ratings have not been so high because he has gotten extreme opposition from Chicago capitalists. The capital owners in the city and also in the state of Illinois have been very aggressively coming after him since the beginning of his tenure. But Brandon Johnson is the 57th mayor of Chicago after a career as a social studies teacher, labor organizer, and Cook County commissioner. He's backed strongly by the Chicago Teachers Union, the Democratic Socialists of America, and progressive grassroots groups. He ran a platform focused on investing in housing, education, and community-based public safety rather than austerity or heavy policing. Since taking office, he's had to govern within one of the most complex political environments in the country while taking on his ops in city council factions, which include the very similar ops that you probably know from the Zoran situation. The police unions, let's be real, even though they are protecting, they're protecting us today. They're wonderful cops. The real estate lobby, and also Rahm Emanuel, and dealing with tens and billions of inherited pension debt. His mayoralty has become a test of whether a popular progressive agenda can overcome the hurdles set forth by the capitalist class in one of America's largest cities. What's going on? Are we? Yeah, oh yeah.
It's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming to Chicago. Hey.
All right, you paid that guy, huh?
You know, it's going to see a lot of that, right? Yeah.
All right. So, what are we doing? We're going to be hanging out in here.
I'm not in charge of this. I'm just
okay.
Here on assignment.
We're going to do a lap or just waiting 1 minute?
Hey, what's going on, man?
All right.
Good, brother. How are you? Good, man. Come on, man. Say hello, man. Feeling all right?
Yes, sir. I've been wanting to meet you face to face anyway.
It's a pleasure, brother.
Yeah.
You live in the neighborhood?
Yes, sir. Born and raised right here, Austin community. I'm a rapper, actor. I just got a movie out with 50 Cent and everything.
Straight up?
Yeah, slam. But, man, congratulations, bro. Thank you for everything you do, man. For real. And you need to get more good publicity.
Yeah,
because they giving you, like, they too much on your ass,
you know
bro.
they giving me grief, but you know we strong.
Yes, sir.
644, we don't stay strong.
Yeah, 60644, yeah.
Got it. All right, man.
Blessings,
hey,
brother.
man, Darius, give him your card, man.
Damn, that's my name.
Yeah, man. So, gosh, you picked a nice day. Brought a little bit of that West Coast sunshine, man, into the city.
Yeah, it was raining when we first came in, but it's been really nice. It is very windy, though. I get why they call it the Windy City.
Yeah, more ways than one.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we're gonna walk around first. Is that what we want to do? Or we can just wait here. It doesn't matter to me, but if you guys want to walk, we can do that as well.
Then we could start here. Yeah. We could start here, and then we can make our way in a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just talk here, and then we'll make our way.
Okay, all right, perfect. So what part of town are we in right now?
So we're on the west side of Chicago. This is the Austin neighborhood. It's the neighborhood that I live in.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I are raising our 3 children just a couple of blocks from here. We love it. It's a beautiful, historic community. Once upon a time, it used to be the largest neighborhood in the entire city of Chicago, but unfortunately, because of past administration's ills, school closures, the loss of good public sector jobs, we are no longer the largest neighborhood, but this is still the largest concentration of working people, and particularly black folks, anywhere in the country. At the height of the neighborhood, we probably had, it was definitely 100,000 people just in this neighborhood. We're probably sitting around about 80,000 now, but still very vibrant and strong. And right now we're working our way back, but it's beautiful, man. I mean, the housing, the major corridors, man. We're down the historic Chicago Avenue. So yeah, this is my hood. Yeah.
You grew up here?
I didn't. I grew up just a little bit outside of the city, but once my wife and I decided to work our way, into the city, there was no doubt that we wanted to live right here on the west side. Yeah.
So he brought up the fact that they're on your ass, that you're, and this is something that I briefly alluded to in our last conversation, but it's something that I've been thinking quite a bit about as well. I do feel like there is somewhat of I wouldn't say like a media attack on you, but definitely like it's more critical than you would expect of a mayor of a large city. There are other mayors that have been in the spotlight in times of need, but they haven't received as much criticism as you have. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's one specific reason. I know that the city of Chicago is the global capital of the world, and the interests of corporations have long had their foot on the neck of working people and poor people. My election broke outside of that structure. I know that there are corporate interests that want to dominate this city, and I believe that as I continue to put forth the vision that is transformative, of course it's going to be met with resistance. Yesterday we said our final farewell to Reverend Jackson. He was a true example of someone who understood his assignment in Chicago, right? It's why when Dr. King came to the North and they knew they needed a strategist and an organizer in the North, they put Reverend Jackson in charge, and it wasn't like this. The power structure embraced, all of his ideals, man. And so we're still faced with many of those corporate interests that do not see the value of working people. And as long as we're committed to ensuring that safe and affordable communities can become a reality, I think we should just anticipate the corporate order to respond in the way in which they have, man. But I try not to allow it to deter me. Clearly, as you heard the brother, people see it, right? And it has not stopped the support and the desire for us to build our communities in a way in which I think our folks expect.
Yeah. Actually, let's talk about the funeral proceedings that took place for Reverend Jackson. He's a very important figure for American politics, very important figure for someone like myself as well, someone who I've looked up to and helped me develop a better understanding of American politics in general. I believe, hey, what's good? I believe that at the funeral proceedings, there were 3 presidents that came out and spoke. Yeah. And it was very interesting seeing it from the outside, like the way that they utilized the pulpit in that moment. And I wanted to hear, well, aside from what you think of the performance of Kamala Harris saying, "I told you so," using that as an opportunity to say, "I told you so," which didn't land very well with at least the people that were watching from outside. And then I believe Joe Biden had some words as well. Do you feel like they were like real torchbearers for Jesse Jackson's legacy, especially considering that he himself had oftentimes been at odds with some of these people directly, including but not limited to even Obama at times as well? How did you feel about those speeches?
Well, I mean, I think to some extent you heard each president admit that they had disagreement with Reverend Jackson. President Clinton said that explicitly in his speech. I think we're all clear that the so-called 3 strikes and you're out policy was incredibly harmful and detrimental to working people, and particularly black folks in particular. Yeah. And I think what they all at least shared was that they were a beneficiary of his work, his legacy, right? I think that it's clear though that we have not realized the full manifestation of what the Rainbow Coalition was all about. That's why I was very intentional about lifting up the fact that healthcare for all was a part of the platform of Reverend Jackson in '84.
Yeah.
He was calling for a single-payer healthcare system where you did not have, a system of winners and losers, right?
Yeah.
His stance around public education. I talked about the fact that it was Dr. King who understood the connection between labor rights and civil rights. He prophesied of the incredible potential that it had. So I think that as much as they possibly could, they wanted to take credit. They at least wanted to acknowledge they benefited. But I think it's important that we push the fact that we have still not fully accomplished what that platform was all about back in the 80s.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, well, the Jam Boys are here, so.
What's going on?
What's up,
man?
How you doing, Mr. Baker?
What's up? Welcome to my hood. What's up, man?
How you doing, man?
Coming through. What's good?
What's good?
What's going on?
You going viral recently, man?
They said I was walking, then they said the Jam. I was like, let me make sure we get some shoes, because I know I would not be able to out bling y'all. I knew that. I was like, I got my wedding band, I got Citizens, that's it.
Now we rocking the red on the shoe.
That's
good.
But welcome to Chicago again. Hey, y'all been. I heard some of the conversation. It was very interesting.
Yeah. We actually was just talking about it in the car. We were talking about the Reverend Jesse Jackson, funeral and everything, the things that Kamala said, things like that.
Yeah. It's massive. Everybody was in town.
Oh man, wasn't that wild, man?
Yeah. Gustavo Petro was here. Really?
Yeah. Cut the tape. Yeah, it was good. So we had, I believe it was the president of the Congo. We had South Africa. We had Colombia. Of course, other dignitaries who were representative of these nations, man. But like Reverend Jackson, man, was just such a large, political, civil leader, but yet, man, hey, what's going on, man? But he was also, man, so connected to the ground, man, and it was really just beautiful to see, like, from a child care provider to a president of another nation. Just like to hear people celebrate his life and his story, man. It was very humbling.
I think it was dope to see how many people came out, showing the love and everything, like across the cities, like the sides of the city too, like South Side came out, West Side came out, every side came out. So I think it was just dope to see all the love and support people had for him.
I think if people forget how central of a hub Chicago is.
That's right.
I always think about it whenever I'll see like how many figures that I know of came from here, and whenever stuff like that'll happen, it's like people, the narrative on the internet is so much focused about like the things that you see on local news, regardless of who has the influence to focus on those things, but it's never necessarily about the broader impact. So I love like moments like this get to just kind of showcase what Chicago's all about.
That's right. That's right. No, I mean, you had, Isaiah Thomas, man, who, another proud West Sider. He got called out for being a Piston, but it's like, my thing is, man, with him playing in Detroit, same thing with Mark McGuire, another West Sider. It's like we send our family to go play with our cousins up in Detroit to get them a win, man. But Isaiah Thomas, Chris Tucker, talked about his influence. And I mean, man, everybody else in between, man. You had, rabbis, you had, leaders from Palestine, you know what I'm saying? Who were a part of it. So it's a true testament of the global figure that he was.
No, Jesse Jackson was a lion. Like he did that. He did that shit. I think he played a role. He played a role in like numerous hostage release conversations. He understood that solidarity amongst the working class has an international component to it as well. And that always was another reason why I really appreciated his place.
How you doing,
advocacy.
How you doing? No, I appreciate. I think one of the things that I saw about Jesse Jackson, all the clips started coming out, especially after his passing. And one of the most important things that I seen was kind of like it kind of gave me inspiration for what like a future either left-wing political party or Democratic Party can look like. that focus on that unity among demographics, the interconnected struggle that all of them face. I feel like a lot of the times we get away from talking about the material things that can actually bring about those changes, at least on a national level. And I think it's a lot of stuff that we can learn from someone like him and a legacy like him, and even like taking that much further. Because like you said, we do still have a long way to go.
Like I'm curious too, man. Especially because I got a birthday coming up.
Oh yeah.
And I'm tripping, man. So yeah, man. I mean, I guess. Yeah, this is your invitation. Yeah, it's a good way to just throw it out there. But hey, what's up? I'm the oldest person in my administration. I'm turning 50.
Oh,
so we have, with the exception of me, we have a relatively young administration. But I'm real curious, man. Like, how do like 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds see and view a Reverend Jackson?
I think, at least the way I
like a Jesus.
Yeah.
In a sense, because it's like, he's that guy.
I think I was gonna say, same thing, kind of like in terms of like when you get older. Like when I got older, I started learning certain things about it. But like younger, like that was like that guy. Like you know what I mean? Like my granny was talking about him, my mama was talking about him, everybody was talking about him.
Oh hey, how you doing? What's up? How you doing? Good. Thank you. How long you been doing business out here? No, you're welcome. How long? What do you? Oh, you got a whole big old.
Oh God, I'm about to get some.
I see here.
Oh my
Good.
God,
It's really nice to see you.
Oh my God, have a good one. Have a good one.
I'm sorry, you said.
Nah, it was just, you know, like growing up, you hear about them, and you don't really know much other than like what the effect of like my granny was talking about him, my mom was talking about him, the church was talking about him all the time. So it's like, you know, you kind of view him as like a legend or like a prominent figure for coming from Chicago, you know?
You really like saw like, even with his death and the funeral, you saw the unity really happening after that. Like I'm really seeing like the internet blowing up over it.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know, I think...
Did they really get food?
It's always that one guy.
Always that one.
Yeah, it's like, Mama, we would have been on time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what do you think? Do you think when it comes to someone like Reverend Jesse Jackson, do you think it's and I want to hear from both of y'all, do you think it's a positive thing that the younger generation looks at him like that, or do you think we should kind of pick it apart a little bit more and go deeper?
No, I think it's good, because he's like people credit people credit Bernie Sanders in 2016 for like the rise of you know, self-identifying socialism in the country, but I think like Jesse Jackson in the 80s was doing that, and it's something that Bernie Sanders also has always acknowledged as well. Jesse Jackson also endorsed Bernie too.
Yeah.
So like there have been, I would say that, you know, we've had periods in American politics where we had a much more radical approach.
Yes.
And much more militancy, labor militancy, different groups that were engaging in direct action in ways that were really impactful. But Jesse Jackson basically continued that legacy and continued carrying the torch of what the Black Panther Party was doing, the Rainbow Coalition. And I think he was an exceptionally important figure in American politics, and that's part of the reason why they engaged in a lot of whitewashing of his legacy. Because it's frustrating. You see that with MLK, and then the worst version of that is just like a lack of recognition at all for Malcolm X. But it's obvious to me that with Jesse Jackson, I feel like they're hitting the MLK whitewashing on his legacy as well, to just say like, oh, he's, you know, he wanted to unite everybody. It turns into just like with MLK, it turns into like, I had a dream. You know how like racist people love using that to be like, oh yeah, MLK wanted no anti-white racism. That's what his that's the only takeaway you should get from MLK's legacy. They kind of do that with Jesse Jackson a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it apart a little bit more. Maybe that's the social studies teacher in me.
I hear that.
You know, I do believe that there is a strong value for Reverend Jackson. I will say that, you know, a prophet is not always well received or received at all in their own home. I had a chance to hang out with Reverend outside of the city of Chicago. The response is different, you know, and I think it's not that we did not appreciate Reverend Jackson. It's just that you might have, we may have taken him for granted at times.
Yeah.
Because he was just so ever present.
You think it was a sign of like kind of the fact of where we were in like American politics at the time and then where we are now? Like now we kind of can look in hindsight and be like, damn, we kind of took him for granted.
I think at times, I know that there were some real critical moments in recent city history that many people may not be aware of. He was still the convener. I remember when the Laquan McDonald video was uncovered, the organizing that was put together was done at Rainbow Push in his office. And at that time, the young folks were the millennials and had a much different vernacular than the Reverend Jackson era, right? So I was the Gen X who had to sit in the middle between millennials who, quite frankly, dropped more F-bombs than keep hope alive. But Reverend Jackson stood in that space, sent out a robocall on the Chicago Teachers Union's list.
Wow.
Like on Thanksgiving.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Like real controversial, right? And at a time in which the tension between community and policing had begun to escalate anyhow, right? So you saw labor, you saw faith, you saw other community organizations come together at Rainbow Push, and Reverend was a central figure in all of that. But I will say that there were some younger organizers who did not necessarily see the Jackson generation as a part of modern day resistance. And so they got an education because they saw his influence and his impact in that moment, but I will say as a whole though, I think that life after for Reverend Jackson will be kinder than the life that he lived. And that's just, unfortunately, the nature of the beast, we call America or capitalism.
I think it's super important to like point out, at least from my perspective, like growing up, hearing about Jesse, like I feel like it is one of those things where you do take for granted just because of how like present and how much I've seen him, especially like being here. But it's the constant work of making sure the legacy that is preserved is the ones that really take up those principles. Like when we talk about MLK and the whitewashing of that, it's like you never want to see a situation where, we talk about how much Chicago is like has remnants of segregation and stuff like that, and to see a political force and political movement that can start on the basis of unifying every demographic, like in this city in particular, that's very powerful. That like directly shows an antidote to like fascism, to apartheid policies, to stuff like that. And that's why I feel like it's so important to remember that now. Like the stuff that we pull from Jesse Jackson, because it feels like at least that wasn't the focus broadly, like on a national level. Now it seems like we're kind of getting back to that. Everyone's now aware of the moment we're in. And I think that makes it that much more impactful. And figures like that are people who we really do have to highlight, because it kind of gives us a pathway, I feel like.
I will say this, as far as like my audience is very white, right? I have an international audience as well. The international perspective is obviously like focused on his advocacy on that front, and there's a lot of respect for him there too, because like people love when an American will come out and be like, oh no, I understand what's going on here. Like this is messed up. We gotta. I mean, he hung out with Fidel Castro. Like those are very important moments in American history. But then, as far as white people goes, in my community, even like there was a lot of people who were like, I am so deeply ashamed that I learned about him in a very negative way in my household, because like the media coverage in mainstream, on the mainstream side of things, the media coverage on Jesse Jackson was not good at all. Like, it was very, they attacked him. They would often bracket him in the same way as Al Sharpton, from back when Al Sharpton was more radical, let's say. So it's been a wake-up call for a lot of people, I think, especially now when like broader subsects of society are starting to recognize that there is like an implicit bias in mainstream news.
Yes.
It's not always bad, right? But there are certain blind spots, let's say, racial blind spots certainly, but then also blind spots in general for any kind of advocacy that they consider to be anti-capitalist or radical.
Yeah.
And people are now, I think, becoming more aware of that and reconsidering their prior biases about certain things, about the way that they've learned about certain things.
Yeah. I want to ask Mayor Johnson, like, do you think, in the same vein of that, what do you see as the position of, I guess, revolutionary / like radical politics, I guess, considered in America? Like, what's that role today? Because we've seen throughout history, like you said, the media frame, or how there will be crackdowns on people for simply believing like people should have freedom of expression, freedom to explore whatever ideology suits them. What do you see, like, are you looking to have more of an embrace of people who might be more out there, might be more, I guess, radical considered? Because I feel like those are people who've always been doing the work. You know, those are people who've always been in the ground throughout history, and there's a kind of push to try to keep those people out when we're talking power.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think that they're, going back a little bit to what you said, or your analysis about the current political climate that we're in, that like this is a ripe moment for like a Reverend Jesse Jackson, right? And like this is the moment that like he lived and fought for, right? To have multi-intergenerational movement of critical thinkers that are willing to challenge the status quo, right? And so I'm struck a little bit by just the timing of his death. Like, I'm not one to question God, and I'm like, yo, so what you up to for real, right? Because it really, you could sense and feel this resurgence of resistance, but you also can feel the life of like a Reconstruction era.
Yeah.
And so I think, getting to your question, there's a level and a degree of I think impatience that is even less tolerable now than what we believe, our ancestors were willing to tolerate, right? But what I'm seeing though is that the desire to push the ground and organize versus let me organize and get my name on the ballot at the same time.
Yeah.
This is where I believe that there's a little bit of it's a little disjointed for me, right? Because as much as, and this is people who don't always agree with me on this, as much as we recognize and understand the power of the position, our ancestors understood that, but they understood their power from their position, not from the position that they were trying to push. They believed that their power was capable of pushing the power structure to submit and bend to the will of the people. Versus now, there seems this other element where there's I believe, an over sensationalized glorification of politicians. And I'm one of them, right? And it makes me, like, frankly, a little concerned just from an organizing perspective that if the only motivation that this generation has to organize is to be an elected official, then I believe that we may not have our assignment complete. And so, again, I'm not saying that we should not run for office, right? Because I did that. I went up against powerful machines in this city. Just for the record, I've never lost an election. I just want people to know that. While y'all out here like trying to run game, brother hadn't lost, right? So, but with that being said, the reason why I believe that I was in a stronger position to prevail is because I had begun to lay the groundwork in this very community, right? Standing up to powerful structures that were closing down schools, that were laying off workers, right? I was a part of a hunger strike, taking arrests, right? I mean, put real skin in the game and had no real desire, quite frankly, to run for office. It was just one of those things I'll never forget, because Rev was a person who would come up to me, I think you'll appreciate this, when I was out there organizing, he would say, "Man, Brandon, man, if you would just get a haircut and get you a good suit, you might just be somebody." So I'm like, yeah, so I got a haircut, I got a suit. Right. Oh yeah, sure, of course. Yeah. So you're seeing a lot more, you know, as we walk down Chicago Avenue, man. You know, this is an avenue that, you know, some community organizers who are, you know, really attached to business see Chicago Avenue as like the should be the main, you know, corridor for the city of Chicago, is Chicago Avenue.
Yeah.
So they're gonna name it, well, they have named it Soul City.
Oh yeah,
So we got some housing development.
This is good.
We got more small businesses that are coming through, and then these pop-up shops like this.
Oh yeah, I love these like green areas. Oh, is that? I love like green spaces like this. We will talk about it so much, like even when it comes to a community aspect and like a safety thing. I feel like a lot of the things that are missing right now, we talked recently at the Chicago Teachers Union, and what we basically talked about is like, how do we break down these silos? Like it feels like a lot of the last like maybe decade and a half of kind of like austerity politics that privatize, close down like public spaces. We've kind of all been through that, and there's a lot of apathy now. But like I stress the importance of even little areas like this. Like it's so nice to come outside and like feel like you have a place that you can just stand, chill, maybe play a little basketball. And people don't understand how long the way that goes.
Oh, it's a huge contributor to transformation. In the summertime, I mean, you're gonna see like areas like this all over the city, like literally popping. I mean, we put, you know, $1.25 billion bond investment for economic development and housing in Austin. Just, you know, again, between Chicago Avenue, there's development down Madison. You know, for the first time since the King riots, we've seen like real economic, you know, development. And just for the record, I know we're gonna take a picture, and I mean this with all sincerity. Reverend would have loved y'all. I'm telling you, man. He, like, if he had, you know, the strength when he was going through to be a part of the jam, man, he would have loved it. In fact, even though he did not have all of, you know, the functions that he had, you know, when I got a chance to learn from him, you know, he probably would have still come through, man. But I know we're proud of you as a city. I know as you all's, you know, platform becomes bigger than this guy's here.
We got another clap.
We need all of Brother Piker's followers to follow the jam. Right? But no, he really would have had a great deal of respect and regard for y'all, man, because he believed in like young people being on the ground and like speaking truth to power. So.
Yeah, we appreciate you even bringing us out here. Like I feel like it's so important to like highlight sides like this, because it destroys the perception of what like people think Chicago is. Like people think it's dangerous. When it's like, bro, this city is beautiful.
There's dangers in every city, bro. So act as though it's not dangerous in every single city. Like
I told my mom, I was like, I'm gonna come out here for the street. She's like, Alan, be careful. I'm like, Ma, it's the mayor.
You know, me and Hasan were talking about it last time you were out here about how like part of it is also the plot. You know, you don't want everyone to come move into Chicago.
I feel weird about showing how nice it is. I'm like, no, guys, it's bad. Don't come here.
Well, I mean, I think that's changing, man. And you know, look, we have to tell the truth as well. Like I'm not gonna act like in almost 3 years since I've been mayor, that, you know, we have turned everything around. But we have turned the corner though. Right? And
it's progress that needs to be highlighted.
Exactly.
All right, so we'll do a quick group photo here, and then we're gonna walk towards Laramie. We have about 5 minutes left. So looking at Rashawn.
Behind the shoes.
Alright, 1, 2, 3.
All right, so let's walk towards Laramie.
Alright.
So how long are you in this? We just say the city. That's how arrogant we are. It's like it's only one. So how long are you in the city?
I'm here for just today. I was here delivering a speech at Northwestern University last night. And then I was so tired. I feel like I didn't do that good of a job, but you know, people seem to like it. But I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed your stay and your time here. Just over on the other side here was you know, more affordable units that we built. You know, this you can always see more signs of the Soul City corridor popping up, because we want to make sure that just like in any town, you'll have a Chinatown, a Greek town, a Boys town. You know, what's the Soul City corridor in Chicago? And I got to give a shout out to AAA B&A because they see Chicago Avenue as the premier avenue that highlights, you know, the beauty of our city.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have some questions for you, if you don't mind. Chicago's been historically been run through a close relationship with the city government and major corporate interests. But you came in with a philosophy centered on labor and community investment, as we talked about last time. How is the business community responding to recent developments by City Hall?
Well,
I know something about that.
Well, I want to say that, you know, look, we are definitely the global capital of the world, and I believe that business interests and my interest is to make sure that we have safe and affordable communities. What I focus primarily on is, hey, good afternoon. What I focused on primarily is making sure that we are building safe communities, because that's good for business. And we have the brand new stadium, Chicago Fire, we're building. On the west side of Chicago, the 1901 project outside of the United Center. That's a multi-billion-dollar project. On the southeast side of Chicago, where the steel mills once existed, speaking of labor, no development there in over 30 years. We have Psi Quantum coming out that way, plus a brand new hospital with Advocate Health, $100 million investment. So business recognizes that this is the premier location. The city of Chicago Metro, once again, the top destination for corporate relocation and expansion for 13 years in a row, voted the best big city in America. So business interest recognizes, you know, that this is the place to do it. My simple philosophy is straightforward, that we are open for business, we're just not for sale, right? And so, you know, there are some individuals, of course, that still, you know, don't necessarily jive what's going on with my philosophy, but it's not gonna change my push, right? To ensure that we're building a safe, affordable city where everybody gets to participate and not just a hand few.
So it's a delicate balance to strike, but Chicago's business elite obviously still has a domineering force on the city's economic power. How are you navigating the roadblocks put up by folks like Michael Sachs, Ken Griffin, Rahm Emanuel? How can we rally the labor unions to engage in more advocacy and even tendency to push back against the corporate focus?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's going to require. It's going to require working people to make sure that our agenda gets across the finish line. Even with those forces that have animus towards working people, our values are incredibly popular. 80% of the city wanted us to put more of a responsibility on corporations to pay their fair share. But the corporate interests, of course, got into the heads of a couple of alders, you know, that stopped us from moving one particular aspect, you know, of our agenda. But the vast majority of that agenda was still able to materialize. You know, I'm pushing for a millionaire's tax. You know, we're organizing in Springfield to push that through. So it's not that our agenda doesn't have merit. Like, our agenda is very popular. It's going to require labor, the civil rights organizations, labor organizations, all of those organizations are going to come together to make sure that we're pushing our collective agenda.
All right. Okay. I have a little bit more of a tough question. Since we last talked, the Foundry Park development was approved by City Council. You mentioned you wanted to bring affordable housing to all of the neighborhoods, including Lincoln Park, where this is being developed. It sounds like it's going to bring 1,000 new homes, including a handful of designated affordable units, but the developer seems inclined to make a payment of $7 million to the city instead of building the 42 affordable units. How do these kinds of deals, where developers pay their way out of actually building the housing units, change the dynamic of actually building affordable housing, and how does that change the way you think about it?
Well, it's not going to change the way I think about it. You know, we're continue to push, you know, the developers to make sure that at least 30% of the units are affordable. We know that there are loopholes, of course, that you know, they try to draw on. We're repurposing downtown office spaces into affordable housing, right? So of the 1,100 new spaces that are being converted into housing, 30% of them will be affordable. So that drive is going to continue. We do know that there will be some that will try to push their way through that responsibility, but I'm on pace now to build 10,000 affordable units by the end of my first term, and we're going to keep pressing.
How do you feel like the affordable housing development reinvigorates the economy? If you had a message for like some that would say, oh, this is going to bring poorer people, like mixed income people into this neighborhood, change the dynamic of the neighborhood, because that's like one of the common points of criticism against affordable housing development. How would you go about identifying those issues and explain to people that it's not an issue at all?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing is to highlight that many of the new development, these developers have committed to building, and to creating affordable units as a result of these investments. But also, I just want to lift up the fact that whether it's through our missing middle, where we have owner-occupied housing, right, where people are living on one level and renting the other levels, to make sure that we're building long-term sustainable generational wealth. The message is that it benefits all of us. To ensure that our economy remains diverse, you have to have working class people in here who are going to send their kids to the public schools, who are going to rely upon the public transportation system, who are going to shop at the local businesses. It works for everyone.
Yeah. So last month you signed an executive order calling on police to investigate federal agents accused of misconduct after ICE wreaked havoc on Chicago. How has the ICE situation evolved after the last few weeks, and has there been any accountability for the damage ICE has done so far?
Well, I mean, there certainly has to be accountability. That's why I signed the executive order in the first place.
Yeah.
Because as you know, we're living in unprecedented times, and we do not have a clear pathway, from the federal government to ensure that there's accountability. Right now, people have the ability to push for accountability. That's what the executive order was designed to do. I mean, look, here's the bottom line. We know that the Trump administration has been incredibly reckless. The damage and the havoc that they've caused in cities across America. The city of Chicago has led the way with our executive orders. In fact, I believe about 30 million people are currently living under our executive orders right now around the country. But the evidence that is collected in cases where brutality took place, we want to make sure that gets to the state's attorney so that the state's attorney can decide if they want to pursue as well as prosecute.
Last question.
All right, last question. This one's gonna be about Zoran. It's a double question.
All right.
Last time we were together, we didn't really get to talk too much about Zoran. Have you been in contact, and is it feasible to share notes between Chicago and Memdanistan, given the differences in the cities and the respective political spheres?
Yeah, well, we had a text exchange a couple of weeks ago. Right now, we are in the process we're forming sort of a mayor's coalition, much like district and state's attorneys have formed to fight back against federal overreach. He expressed a desire and commitment to work with the city of Chicago, Boston. We have Seattle on board. We have Oakland, Mayor Lee, Mayor Bass, and Los Angeles as well. So, now that, the services for Reverend Jackson have passed, we're going to begin to have some more meetings around what type of ideas, to your point about sharing notes, that's working in Chicago and other cities like New York, that we can share those ideas, and then we can actually move them simultaneously versus in silo.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one was there's a concept like sister cities. I don't know how much the mayor gets to have a say in that process. Does Chicago have a sister city? Have you thought about like expanding Chicago's international reach as the global capital, and maybe highlight a community elsewhere, whether it be in the past something the governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, did was opening up like trade routes with Cuba against the blockade. Has this come to your attention at all? Is this something you're interested in doing?
Well, we have a long history of sister cities. I'm definitely working to expand them, including sister cities on the continent of Africa. Look, we have to grow our collective response to one another. I was sharing a couple of days ago at Reverend Jackson's service as we commemorate the Bloody Sunday, right? And that bridge was a symbol of the cross, and it connected our collective suffering. Right now, I believe that bridge today can be described as borders, where, you know, borders essentially are, people are determining whether or not someone's humanity and dignity should be realized based upon what side of the border they live on. And we want to break that down. And so as we, you know, lean on Reverend Jackson's example of crossing the bridge in spite of the hatred that was on the other side of it, we have to be able to cross these borders and challenge the hatred of, you know, of all forms of hate. So we're looking at definitely expanding sister cities and, you know, making sure that the city of Chicago remains as a main footprint as the global capital of the world.
All right,
right on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you as well. Man, I appreciate you understanding the uniform. Appreciate it. Up and down. We just got one more step to make. You know, next time we're in the city, we got you. You got shoe game. And again, man, I want to thank you, man, for making room for all these. Of
course, I love these guys.
Thank you guys for having us as well. Like we continue to watch, and we're excited to see how this project gets built out when it's connecting us globally and kind of standing again. It's really weird. Like we find ourselves at this point in time where, as fashion's on the rise, like you don't have many people who are able to build coalition like this. So taking the platform, taking everything, making stuff like this happen is the most important thing. Yeah. So we're gonna keep that working. We're gonna keep watching.
All right, what's up? Chicago, baby.
Is there any way that you can stop the Chicago Bears from going to Hammond?
Oh yeah, that's a major question.
Oh, so this is what I love, man, about our movement. It's like we want to make sure there's health care for all and Bears games on the lakefront. And everything else in between. Listen, I have not given up on that yet, man. There's still no better place in the country, in the state of Illinois, for the Bears to play than the lakefront. In fact, that entire footprint, that's the #1 tourist destination anywhere in the state of Illinois, man. So I have not given up on that. We're gonna keep fighting, man, because you got to keep the Bears in Chicago.
If they know what's good for them, they'll stay right
That's
here.
right.
You got
Right
the
on,
infrastructure, everything.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
Yep, right on, man. Listen, man, one day, man, I'm gonna give me a leather jacket too.
Appreciate you, man. Yes, sir. You said, when's your birthday?
March 27th. Y'all make sure. Yeah, make sure they get it. All right.
Okay.
That's cool.
Cool.
All right.
Good seeing you,
man. Yep. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hey, thanks for coming by the Chicago, man.